This is Tony of Impact Soul. I'm thrilled to be here with Kayvon and Seth of the Flying Pigs Project.
We're revolutionizing philanthropy by uniting micro-donations and blockchain into a powerful force for global good.
You're tuned into the Edge of Show, where blockchain, AI, and community-driven innovation come together to drive meaningful change around the globe. Stay tuned.
Hey, Web3 listeners, get ready for today's episode to learn how meme culture and social impact are getting a makeover with Dollar Donation Club's latest initiative that will let the pigs fly. And also the future of community-first tokenomics and how blockchain is reshaping charitable giving. Lastly, how Dollar Donation Club measures real impact. All this and more at the Edge of Flying Pigs. Cue the intro.
Welcome to the Edge of Show, your gateway to the Web3 revolution. We explore the cutting edge of blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, ordinals, DeFi, gaming, and entertainment, plus how AI is reshaping our digital future. Join us as we bring you visionaries and disruptors pushing boundaries in this digital renaissance. This show is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers that are pumped about where innovation meets culture. This is where the future begins.
Welcome to the Edge of Show, featuring a variety of top-notch guests and other hosts. I'm Josh Krieger, and it's another production of the Edge of Company, a quickly growing media ecosystem empowering the pioneers of Web3 tech and culture and responsible for other groundbreaking endeavors like the Outer Edge Innovation Festival in LA and Riyadh. Today's show, sponsored as part of an advisory media partnership, features Seth Blostein, a futurist and social entrepreneur revolutionizing philanthropy through the Dollar Donation Club. His campaigns have generated 70 plus million views and raised 17 plus million for global causes. Founder for Future Frontiers Conference and multiple impact-driven organizations, he's definitely a special guy. We also have Tony Greenberg, a dynamic innovator focused on healing and transformation technology, indigenous rights, and sustainable technologies. He's committed to driving positive global change through technology solutions. And last but not least, we have Kayvon Soltani, a pioneer in blockchain, who's also the co-founder of Aventus Protocol, who's raised $20 million through that ICO. He's an expert in token mechanisms and blockchain innovation, with significant experience developing NFT marketplaces for major gaming publishers and creating decentralized ecosystems. And today we'll be talking to these gentlemen about Flying Pigs. This is an innovative cryptocurrency project that aims to create a sustainable funding mechanism for environmental and humanitarian impact projects. The project utilizes a very unique token model where NFTs are transformed into tokens, which then fuel the impact treasury. This treasury is dedicated to funding real-world projects that make a positive difference in the world. Let's bring these guys on. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Josh. Thanks for having us, Josh.
All right. Hey, guys. So, Tony, Seth, Kayvon, each of you comes from such a different angle of innovation, and you're sort of like a dream team of sorts. The good old days of U.S. All-Star basketball for the Olympics. Seth, you have this social impact background. Kayvon, you've been doing so much different things with blockchain and sort of bending that matrix. Tony, with technology strategy, we've known each other for a long time. You've advised so many projects. What does elevating business mean to you personally, each of you, and how does your current work embody this philosophy? Let's start with you, Seth.
Thanks, Josh. Glad to be here. So interesting question. I'm a filmmaker by background, storyteller at heart. I'm actually only interested in business insofar as it has, I believe it's the best channel for making a difference in the world. I believe like the way the world is created is through entrepreneurs. This is how we build civilization. This is how we build the models that form the way the world works, from school, medicine, government, all of it comes from the way entrepreneurs think. And so the way I look at it is every business is created is a story that you're inviting people into a hero's journey. And so I love creating businesses that are inviting people into hero's journeys that lead to your higher potential.
I love that. And Tony, you've been an impact guy for a while. What was that moment where you decided you're 100% impact?
Oh, that's an easy but a hard question. I'm thrilled that when you say the term elevating business. It's actually the moniker of my original company, Ramp Rate, which is elevating the way business does business. There seems to be a chasm between belief systems that businesses can be not only more profitable, but more impactful. So I've been doing that for over 12 years in a variety of circumstances and structures and proving it out day in after day out. So as we continue on with Impact Soul, our role is to enable people and businesses to live a better daily life of impact.
I love that. And Kayvon, you what inspired you to sort of get involved in Impact Soul and Flying Pigs?
In large part, I'm probably the least regen-focused member of the team, having spent the bulk of my career in the blockchain space, specifically in product development. And so really what inspired me was actually going back to the starting point of what inspired me to begin in this technology in the first place, which was this idea that we could democratize access, that we could democratize reward generation, and then doing so create a positive impact on the world. So when Seth approached me with this idea of what if we were to create this mission coin that would allow us to drive these impact initiatives and reward the participants for engaging, this seemed like the best of all worlds. And so that in large part was really what motivated me and inspired me to join up with the team and help bring this to market.
Well, let's get into the pig pen, I guess. Seth, tell us a little bit more about the genesis of Flying Pigs specifically and how this fits into the Dollar Donation Club journey, the things you've done before. Clearly, this is a new sort of innovative and disruptive approach to raising funds for good. Would love to learn sort of how this idea sort of percolated to the surface.
Sure. Yeah. So first, maybe we should talk about what is a flying pig. All right. So because this phrase is not used everywhere in the world, but in the West, we use this phrase when pigs fly to say something is not possible, right? Oh, that'll happen when pigs fly, right? So flying pigs is the quintessence of doing the impossible. And what I've seen studying history and looking at futurism as well is that every generation has these flying pigs. It has people who do not believe in what is thought to be impossible, right? The Wright brothers are a good example where they proved that they could fly even after or as scientific white papers were coming out saying it was mathematically impossible. So, and the Bannister effect is how some people call this, right? When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, within a few years, many, many people were able to do the same. So the flying pig is kind of this like middle finger to doomers in a way, or cynics, where there's so many challenges that the world is facing right now, from climate disasters to ocean pollution to hunger, poverty, right? There's these big, gnarly challenges that are thought to be impossible. And what we're doing with Flying Pigs is creating what we believe is the world's first true mission coin that is dedicated to a community-first model for actually solving those problems. And we've been working on this at Dollar Donation Club in a Web 2 capacity for about 5 years now, with our vision of creating the world's first collective billionaire philanthropist. That is where we're heading, right? Imagine millions of people around the world giving something very small every month, and it's going to highly rigorously vetted charitable and impact initiatives. We kind of call the best of the projects that we find through our vetting process acupuncture points of change, where there's massive positive impact for every single dollar that goes in. And so what we've built with Flying Pigs is this true community-driven mechanism where as the meme grows and as number goes up, the impact goes up as well. And there's a whole mechanism for how we've built this. We're not interested in building a project that spikes and dumps and disappears after a few weeks. This is truly a community-driven mission. We're still early in the development of this and excited to bring people in and share ideas. And, this is truly going to be a bottom-up mission to dedicate a perpetual engine of funding, towards solving the world's biggest, gnarliest challenges. So that's really what we've set out to do. And it's super exciting to be partnered with Kayvon and Tony and the rest of our team to bring the best of DeFi to create a refi or regenerative finance model towards the crypto space. Right? Because I don't know about you, but I've been in the crypto space for a long time. And I feel like the visionary promises of what were said to be, are not in my heart have not fully come true. A lot of people have become wealthy. There's a lot of great decentralization that's happened, but degen is about degenerating, and we needed to degenerate old models, but now it's about regen. It's about regenerating the new world that we want to see. And that is what Flying Pigs is really all about at its heart.
Let's take a pause to shout out one of our favorite partners. For tech innovators facing legal challenges, Zuba Lawler is your go-to law firm. They focus on understanding your technology and business model before addressing legal requirements. Specializing in blockchain, AI, VR, AR, quantum computing, and more, Zuba Lawler offers expert guidance in capital raising, IP transactions, M&A, litigation, and compliance. Visit zuberlawler.com, that's ZUBERLAWLER.com, for cutting-edge legal solutions. Fair enough. I guess my follow-up question to you goes to sort of something you alluded to, which is the challenges of this type of project in terms of decentralizing, right, for social impact. There's been other social impact related projects that have launched, and I remember multiple NFT projects that were for social good over the last cycle, and various meme coins have tried to sort of raise funds. Some have actually raised quite a lot of money, which is great. But there's also been challenges around governance and decentralization and sustainability. How do you look at that balance of opportunity and challenge in terms of launching a project like this?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is that a lot of times people in the crypto space have been quick to jump to how do we tokenize or how do we put charity donations on chain and make it more transparent. That's been a lot of the focus up until now. However, there's not even enough good Web 2 data in the charitable space to put on chain. That's sort of the belief. And that's why Dollar Donation Club is so focused on measurable, quantifiable results per dollar. We coined the phrase return on donation. So an example is, right, $1 removes 2.2 pounds of ocean plastic, or $1 protects half an acre of rainforest, or $1 plants 4 mangroves. And there's all the profile of carbon sequestration and the data, attached to that. So what we've found is that by focusing on this layer that's really missing in the charitable space of what does impact actually mean, what actually moves the needle, right? Who do you actually give to that is going to move the needle towards a success state, right? Solving that problem. Because the charitable space is really rife with challenges and pitfalls. The best at marketing and storytelling tend to get the most donations, not necessarily the best projects, right? And so what we've done is we've solved that through our vetting system at Dollar Donation Club. So we know very clearly, who are the top 1% performers as far as impact per dollar. That is the mechanism that is really under the hood of Flying Pigs, so that every dollar that goes to a project is not just a good story or a headline. Oh, we gave money to charity. You can give money to charity. It doesn't mean it does good, not by default, right? So that's the work that Dollar Donation Club is bringing, is verification of impact, right? And the vetting to understand where are the absolute best projects to give this money to. And then every single 2-week cycle, as Kayvon will talk more about the staking cycle of Flying Pigs, every 2-week cycle as our members, a community, are driving and voting on impact initiatives, we are going to be deploying those funds and seeing Flying Pigs out there in the world, cleaning up the ocean, planting trees, funding drones that plant trees or underwater seagrass even. There's robots that we're funding right now at Dollar Donation Club that plant seagrass. So there's going to be a lot of fun ways that we show up and show and prove, not just like, oh, that felt good, I gave some money away, but prove that it actually moved the needle and made a difference.
Right on. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know we'll go into some of the mechanics of Flying Pigs in more detail. I just had one more question about Dollar Donation Club. I know you guys have dabbled with AI in sort of gamification to sort of increase engagement and higher quality contributions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one on gamification, when you actually quantify what a dollar can accomplish, right? If you know that a dollar, for example, can plant 4 trees, then you know what a penny can do. And you also know what $1 million can do, as far as how many trees and the carbon sequestration profile of that initiative. So that allows us to gamify the platform. So basically, when you join Dollar Donation Club, you have a dashboard that shows, I've planted, 73 trees. I've removed 16,000 pounds of ocean plastic, right? And so you're actually able to track, even if you're just donating $1 a month, which we have 8-year-olds on the platform who give $1 of their allowance every week to plant trees or clean the ocean. And so it gives you an ongoing dashboard where you can kind of take pride in the work that you've done in the world. Whereas typical charity, again, you donate quietly on a form on a website, and then you get an email that says thank you. There's no community. There's no feeling of collective action, right? And our whole principle is that a school of fish can be bigger than a whale, right? If many, many small individual contributions are unified towards a common end, then we can create the biggest super whale that's ever existed that is here to do good in the world. And that's what's exciting about that, and what I think is enabled through the gamification. And then very quickly on the AI front, we've been working with AI over the last year to refine the vetting process, because our vetting process takes a lot of time. We don't just have people apply to the platform to get funding. Usually those are people with big marketing budgets and grant budgets and all that. We do really rigorous research. So for example, again, going to the ocean pollution space, of all the organizations who say they're cleaning the ocean or preventing ocean plastic from getting or cleaning it up and remediating it, who's actually moving the needle? Who's actually out there? And they might be on page 60 of the Google search results. They're not good at storytelling. They don't have good videos. They don't have their website looks like a weird GeoCities website from the 90s, right? That's common. And we find that the projects that are just super heads down focused on the impact end up having the highest metrics per dollar. So the AI tool, we've built this, an AI agent named Vera. And Vera is a verification engine that basically works to vet various landscapes and different projects based on our vetting philosophy, which is this 32-point metric score that we apply to find the best projects in the world. And that's been going amazingly well. We've increased the efficiency of our vetting profile by like 80% over the last 6 months. Something that took maybe eight weeks to vet one project now takes about 3. Which is a very significant improvement. So we're agnostic to the how. We're all about what's the actual proof of impact that can be generated. And so any tools that we can use to help make that a reality.
Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting. Appreciate all that background context. I think it really paints a picture of sort of how you guys have been sort of pushing to the edge of emerging technology and philanthropy for a long time. And this is sort of the next sort of phase of that. And Tony, just to zoom out a little bit, because I know you look at sort of the broader landscape of impact and how it's intersecting with Web3, and you advise projects across the whole spectrum of Web3. Where are we at this moment in terms of impact and meme culture? And do you see any trends that sort of make you a little bit more bullish about the possibilities of doing good on chain?
I've been working hard to move the best of blockchain into the enterprise, with my former clients being everyone from Microsoft to Disney to Sony to CBS to Goldman Sachs. I've been watching for breakouts that would systematize, organize, and have proof points that what's being built for the last 12 years is a real possibility for benefiting society. To answer your question regarding meme coins, it was very telling when the lovely Elon Musk said that meme coins and meme cultures were the voters of the future. This follows the top KOL and visionary in the space, Murad, who all the way from a couple years ago to Token 2049 in Singapore said that the mission coins are the new cults and the new drivers of value. We all know that most meme coins have no underlying value, and it's because it's controlled by the owners versus the audience. When I learned what Seth was working on, and I learned that it was possible to do the opposite. I've learned early in my career that the opportunity, which is doing the opposite, is often the most powerful movement towards greatness. And instead of the owners owning 80%, we gave that to the community. This would create, in essence, a brick wall of value that just can't be rug pulled. It's like a GameStop where people are deeply passionate and against the corporate hierarchies, against the corporate raiders, the inside trading. It's the exact opposite of a lot of things that have happened in the crypto. So I'm proud to attach our reputation to the evolution of the space and be the first truly designed from scratch mission coin as per how Murad sees the market, and to trial this out with the universe. So I think that answers the first question. What's the second question, Josh?
Yeah, we can cut this part. You answered the question. So Lucy, cut. I think this was the first part, was the second part, and just end there and just jump to me now. Okay, cool. So, thank you for sort of putting some context around what's happening here with Flying Pigs. And I now want to dive into the tokenomics a little bit more with Kayvon, because obviously there's this interesting component to our space where some of the most tech savvy folks get in earliest. But in an impact project, you really do want mainstream adoption. You want anyone that wants to participate in this project to have a chance to be part of that community up front. So tell us a little bit about how you're making this project as inclusive as possible, and how you've thought about tokenomics differently in this case from other projects you've done in the past.
Okay, so why don't I start with tokenomics, and then I'll get into the inclusivity side. So first of all, Josh, thank you so much for having us. Really excited to be here. To get into your question regarding the tokenomics, Tony alluded to this in his response. We were really motivated and inspired here by Murad's statements in 2049. I myself have deployed a number of meme coins done more traditionally that are not focused on impact, and having done so and been quite familiar with the process, historically, there's a fairly antagonistic relationship between the deployers of the tokens and the actual participants, the people purchasing them. And this is in large part because the deployers of the tokens are going to bundle 80% plus of the token supply, and that's going to represent their treasury, And now, as a buyer of that token, you are essentially attempting to front run those devs at any given point in time so as to prevent any potential losses on your side should that deployer choose to rug the ecosystem. And this was a particularly powerful model and one of the more prevalent models that we see with respect to how meme coins operate. And so this is really what inspired us when we started listening to this idea of, well, how would we motivate and inspire long-term usage and not these, short-term exciting hype cycles that aren't architected for sustainability? And we realized that the key answer is that, well, it, as usual, comes down to money. When we, as the deployer, are taking 80% of the supply, and we are, for all intents and purposes, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, obviously we are the likeliest organization to drive a benefit out of this. So we then decided to flip the script and say, instead of us bundling 80% and keeping it for ourselves, what if we were to bundle 80% and make that part of a community rewards group? Where now, just by participating in this ecosystem, by engaging in impact, you will be earning rewards of that supply, so that instead of the deployers ourselves taking all of that capital, now it gets distributed amongst the actual participants. And so in this way, we really tried to upset the incentive balance of motivating users to constantly needing to be monitoring activity and volumes and selling frequently, to taking a long-term holding position, recognizing that by holding these assets, they are contributing to impact and are not exposed to the same liabilities and risk profiles that they would be in other tokens. Now, this lends itself into the accessibility and inclusivity segment that you were also alluding to. One of the key aspects that we really wanted to include here was we wanted to dissolve this notion that impact and rewards are mutually exclusive. They are not. And in fact, can be very complementary. And so the model that we've architected here and the way that we've designed this to be as inclusive as possible is by simplifying the user experience to the extent where a user simply just needs to acquire the token. And in doing so and participating, will now be able to earn rewards and be able to see the values of those impacts all over the media, all over our own activities, so on and so forth. We have a number of, as Seth is going to get into here shortly, Dollar Donation Club has been actively running a number of these campaigns for impact initiatives, including having some of these ocean cleanup devices. We can have Flying Pigs branding across all of the above that is going to showcase exactly how much impact is being generated and how much rewards have been generated.
Hey listeners, are you ready to amplify your voice in a digital world? Introducing .podcast domains, your gateway to the future of online identity. Whether you're a creator, a company, or just someone with big ideas, .podcast is for you. Own your unique digital identity, connect securely, and explore hundreds of apps with no renewal fees. Don't wait for someone else to claim your name. Secure your .podcast domain today and be part of the next generation of content creation. Visit get.unstoppabledomains.com/podcast to get started. Again, that's get.unstoppabledomains.com/podcast. Your voice, your rules, your identity.
Kayvon, this sounds like a pretty radical shift in terms of how blockchain and impact comes together that you guys are taking on. Do you see this as a new model that other charities and organizations are going to be able to use going forward, and where you guys can play a bigger role in the ecosystem? Where does this fit into the landscape of sort of meme project launches and impact in your mind?
Thank you for asking that. To be honest, I actually think this is the realization of what blockchain technologies were always intended to do. The real excitement of what a token is fundamentally, taking away all of the value generative components of it is an alignment tool. It's an incentive alignment tool so that we can coalesce communities for a shared objective and achieving that shared objective. Now, unfortunately, as is always the case when there's a revenue opportunity, certain actors are going to identify those opportunities and they're going to want to extract as much for themselves as they can, which is how we end up in this historical 80% bundling model that is what pervades the ecosystem to date. But what happens when you take that greed out of the equation? Well, now all of those potential revenues are being earned by your community members. We have gone above and beyond to incentivize these users and in perpetuity so that they are able to continuously engage. And instead of the developers actually taking those funds and rugging them and liquidating them, taking the liquidity pool, now that is entirely at the discretion of the community. And our job is to act as a shepherd of this ecosystem, not to extract value from it, but to guide it and to allow it to grow into an ecosystem where the users are the ones who are driving that value. So my answer to your question is actually, I consider this, in my humble opinion, to be the realization of the core mission that blockchain technologies initially presented and what really motivated me from the onset when I graduated college to immerse myself in this career in this field rather than, going another route.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Blockchain has always been about sort of, creating egalitarian environments where everyone has a chance to win. And it doesn't matter where you live in the world. It doesn't matter what you do. You can be part of this sort of future technology driven society, culture, whatnot. I think there's been a wide range of views in our space, from the Bitcoin maxis to 100% decentralization. Now we're getting into a world where all these ideals are converging, and organizations like Dollar Donation Club, Seth, you're trying everything, right? You're playing with AI, you're using blockchain. Your goal is just to sort of think out of the box, because the old systems of nonprofits clearly have problems, right? I think, I've worked with nonprofits before. I tried to start a nonprofit organization. It was very, very challenging. So, I guess, Seth, any additional perspective or color you would say on where you think this project fits in and what your aspirations are for Flying Pigs overall?
Yeah, I think it's to build on what Kayvon was sharing. I think it's kind of the natural next step in the evolution of what charity and nonprofit space was always meant to be, which was humanitarian and environmental impact. Right. And so it has lost its way in a lot of ways. And the way people think about charity is changing. Right. It used to be even this thing where, you give and you don't expect anything to happen with it. Right. You give selflessly and you let it go. However, that's in a large part bred a culture where results don't matter, unfortunately, across the philanthropic space. And this comes from working with many different nonprofits over a decade, helping them fundraise, right? Seeing the inner working. There's a culture that is not competent enough to solve a lot of the biggest challenges. That is the rule of thumb. It's not, there are many exceptions. There are great nonprofits out there. There's great charities out there. However, the lack of expectation of results has led to a culture that doesn't, prove results. By and large, they're better at storytelling and marketing than they are at actually generating impact. If you can make a great video about the problem and about how important it is to solve, you can get a lot of donations to your organization. That doesn't mean that
talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what are some of the more sort of noteworthy projects, initiatives that you guys have taken on that you're really proud about?
Yeah. So kind of on that note, what we found is that by refocusing the conversation off of the emphasis on transparency and overhead, which is how a lot of people obsess about whether they donate to something, and refocusing it to what are the results per dollar. When you put input of financial currency in, what's the output of good that comes out? That simplifies everything. And that's why that is the core focus of what we do, is making sure that that's the right output that we want to measure for impact. So some examples of projects that we've found that are just incredible. They're like extremely high return on donation. There's one organization, Trees for the Future, that helps monocrop farmers in sub-Saharan Africa to transition from these monocrop farming where they're making maybe $200 a year. So they're living in extreme poverty, below the poverty line, to biodiverse agroforestry. That's a really big word, but basically what it is growing an organic grocery store in your backyard. So you replace this single crop with an organic grocery store in your backyard where you're growing pineapples, you're growing avocados, you're growing various different types of crops, which is good for the soil, good for biodiversity. And it's growing trees. It's growing about 2.8 trees per dollar. But more important than that, it's feeding these families of 4 to 8 people who go from about 2 nights a week not having enough food to eat to 0 nights a week not having enough food to eat within 1 year of this program. And within 4 years, they're raising their income by 400% on average. That is a massive, that's basically a proven hunger poverty killer while restoring soil biodiversity, sequestering carbon, and reconnecting human beings with the earth at the same time. Because these families who take care of these trees, there's no one on the planet who's going to take care of them better than them. They're feeding their children with these trees. So that's one example of what we call an acupuncture point of change. There's a very simple input, dollars, and then a very measurable output, trees. Is very simple. But under the hood, there's this cascade of positive benefits that ripples out. It changes the local economy. It changes the community. It uplifts it. And so it brings human flourishing where there was degeneration. And that's just one example. But those are the types of projects that we love to find, research, ensure that they're real, right? And then scale them up to their full potential, because the world needs those organizations to be scaled up to their full potential.
Right on. That's really exciting stuff. I've always tried to incorporate impact into all the businesses that I've sort of started. In fact, for Outer Edge LA, we actually had over 40 impact organizations that we gifted tickets to, and we had a lot of impact content. We had a special impact day. So I think there's something really interesting going on with what you guys are building. Obviously, pushing the envelope doesn't come without sort of some lessons learned along the way. So this is not by any means financial advice, but Kayvon, what should folks know about getting involved in Flying Pigs? How can they get involved? Once they sort of join the community, what can they expect after that?
So really glad you asked. So we are just getting ready to get to market. So we are going to be activating our Discord, our Twitter activities, and we also have an airdrop bounty campaign that is going to have a series of really fun activities for community members to go out and either do independently or with groups of their friends. And when submitting proof, they're going to be able to earn tokens that are going to be airdropped to them. So we're going to be running these campaigns here for the next month or so. We're incredibly excited. We have a ton of really cool content. We have comic books that go over the lore. We have an Impact Arcade, actually, which we haven't mentioned too deeply here, but that's going to be a new feature we're going to be rolling out for users over time. Impact Arcade corresponds to a way for users to be able to use their NFTs and earn reputation points and unique badges. So we have these games, which are, think of it like a Pac-Man style game, but you're now cleaning up ocean plastic. And as you navigate the labyrinth and the maze, you're picking up all the plastic. And this is actually going to net you reputation points. So as you play these games, you earn reputation. And as you earn reputation, you increase your corresponding level within the Flying Pigs ecosystem. And those levels give you bonuses. So at level 1, for example, I'm not going to, get any type of conceivable advantage. But at level 2, now I have a 0.5% multiplier for my rewards. So I'm able to earn multipliers on top of my staking activities just by virtue of playing some of these games. Now, we're also going to be rolling out additional onboarding for a number of these NGOs that have gone through the Dollar Donation Club vetting methodology. And these are all going to be community-driven decisions. So there are going to be proposals that are going to be placed for users to be able to engage and say, we like these guys, we like those guys, not super fond of these guys. And so that in that way, the community is going to largely be responsible for curating the entire community as we really start to achieve mass adoption here. So these are some of the mechanisms that we have in place that are going to be creating what we'd like to think of as a more holistic ecosystem that doesn't just correspond to the idea of I want to make money through buying these tokens, but I want to create impact. I want to create value. I want to create resonance. And that's in large part what we intend to work towards for post-launch activities.
All right, great stuff. Tony, any closing thoughts on your end? I know you're very proud of the team and what you guys are building. Any additional perspective or color you want to share on the project?
While creating Impact Soul, there was a theme or a meme of my own, which is in life you have 3 segments. You start out life as an employee, and then you move to an investor, and then eventually, sometimes only on the last day of your life, you become a philanthropist. Well, in keeping with Seth's mission of making group philanthropy, I believe the minute we pop out that we can live an amazing life of impact, not wait until we're an investor, not wait till we are a philanthropist. We can just live our lives all supporting each other in the grand scheme. So I'm excited to walk this path with these amazing gentlemen. Kevin, I loved what you said. Seth, I just adore your principles and where you're headed. So I'm super excited to support this project. And Josh, I really appreciate you having us on such short notice.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and I'm honored to sort of be an advisor and supporter of anyone sort of pushing the envelope in important areas such as philanthropy, like you guys are.
Pushing the wall, not the envelope.
Pushing the what?
Pushing the
wallet. Yes, or envelope with money in it. Seth, if people want to go get involved in Flying Pigs, where do they go? What are the socials? What's the website? If they want to learn more about Dollar Donation Club, broader, where should they go?
Yeah, well, first, check us out at flyingpigs.io. Flyingpigs.io is the best way to get into the Discord. Check out the Git book. Get in Discord and tell us what you think. Like, share your dreams with us. We are looking for idealistic, unrealistic people who believe in making the world a better place. That is what this community is all about. So come in, share your thoughts. We don't have everything figured out. This is early, but we'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to join the community and let's make pigs fly. So flyingpigs.io is the first one. If you want to check out Dollar Donation Club, it's just dollardonationclub.com. If you give a F, give a buck, as we say. I don't know if I can cuss on this show, but if you give one of those, give a buck, and join the world's first collective super philanthropist, and let's make a difference.
Right on, right on. I do know that as a child, I had a book about flying pigs that it was one of my favorite books, I believe. And like, I was really disappointed. I think at the end, the pigs actually couldn't fly. I'm looking forward in this case. The pigs are going to be flying all around. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all for joining us on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Josh. It was a pleasure.
We've reached the outer limit at the Edge of Show for today. Thanks for exploring with us. We have room for more adventurers on our starship, so invite your friends and cool strangers to join our journey. If you're among the hundreds of thousands following us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or watching us on Myco or YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, rate us, and make an awesome comment too. And don't forget to pass this episode along to a friend or two who would benefit from it. Doubling back to again, recommend checking out myco.io, where you can watch The Edge of Show and earn for your time and attention. That's myco.io. Don't forget to visit theedgeofshow.com. The is part of the domain name, where you can learn more about collaborating with us and also subscribe to the Edge of Weekly newsletter for the latest Web3 news, events, and show drops. In addition, connect with us on all major social platforms by searching for The Edge of Show. Join the exciting conversations happening online. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great Web3 and AI content. Until then, keep pushing the boundaries. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The views and opinions expressed on The Edge of Show reflect solely those views and opinions of the show host and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of these links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.